And joining me now via Skype is old friend Andrea Vaughan. How are you, Andrea?
Hi, Jack. I'm good. How are you?
Great, great. So if you recognize Andrea from this show, I think it was back in November of 2015, I had read her book
Yeah.
and was fascinated by it. So she agreed to, actually I met you at Norwood Day that year, and
That's right.
you agreed to come back sometime, and we did a great show all about your book. So let's talk a little bit about the book first. It's Invisible Target, and you take it from there.
Sure. Thanks for having me, first of all, and thank you for allowing this topic. It's really important, and I'm happy to share. I wrote my book, Invisible Target, Breaking the Cycle of Educator Sexual Abuse. And I initially started writing it because I wanted to just get the story of the abuse that happened to me outside of myself. But then I found, as I was writing pretty quickly, I found that I really was writing it for other people to try and protect other kids from going through what I went through. And so I really wanted to design it as a resource for students and parents. So at the end of every chapter, I've incorporated these discussion questions that are focused for students, parents, teachers, administrators, and survivors of abuse, just to get the conversation going, because silence perpetuates this kind of abuse. And it's a preventable epidemic. We just need education and training and awareness, and we need survivors to speak out so people know what to look for. So really, that's why I wrote it. And I can't believe it's been almost 4 years since it came out. That's kind of crazy how fast that happened, but I'm really glad I wrote it because it helped me heal a lot, and I think it's hopefully making a difference for other people.
Well,
and I just recently released an audiobook version for it too, so that's kind of exciting. That's been fun.
let's if people wanted to get it, how do they get the book, both the audio and the print?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That's okay. If people wanted to get the book now, how would they get it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's available on Amazon. There's a link I can provide later, but it's just, you can click on Amazon, Invisible Target, or they can go to my website and find a link as well, which is andreaspeaksout.com. And the audiobook is available on Audible and iTunes and Amazon as well.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the things you're doing now. I mean, that was sort of your breaking out period, if you will, and you know, you're able to tell your story. And I remember after interviewing you, I was left with, you know, it was a horrible thing that happened, but you survived it, and I felt hopeful. You know, at the end of that book, and after having talked to you, I felt hopeful that, you know, people who have gone through this can survive and prosper and do really good things. And that's why I was so happy to have you on and to have you back.
That makes me feel so good to hear that. I'm really, it's a relief to hear that, because that's the message I want to send to people, that you can survive a lot of hardships once you find the purpose in the pain, I think. And I started speaking publicly in 2004, actually, and worked on some legislation and I really focus on prevention a lot. And there's so much we can do. So I've been conducting trainings and seminars and just speaking to whomever will listen, pretty much. And then once the book was published, then it kind of directed my focus a little bit. So I still do a lot of training and prevention. I'm actually a contracted employee now with the Department of Education here in Florida to sort of head up the educator sexual abuse prevention arm. And I'm really excited about that. The fact that the Department of Ed down here is embracing this prevention concept is huge. Compared to when I started in 2004, the fact that it's being received like that is very promising and hopeful. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done with this issue, but I can't give up. I just have to keep focusing on that. And I also recently launched a podcast. It's called Andrea Speaks Out, and it focuses on sexual abuse in terms of healing and prevention. And I have guests sometimes, and we're covering a whole variety of topics. And I'm learning a lot. I am such a newbie. I listen to podcasts all the time, and they sound so easy. It's not. It's very time consuming, but it's so gratifying, and I'm learning a lot. So hopefully if anyone tunes in, be gentle, and hopefully I'll improve with time.
Wow. I'm sure you do well. But you know, one thing because I know you, and I feel like everybody knows you, but I didn't set the groundwork. You grew up in Norwood. That's part of the story. Is this happened in Norwood?
It did. Yeah, the abuse took place by a teacher I had from middle school, and the abuse lasted for years, and didn't feel like I could speak about it at all for a very long time. And that's the silence that survivors carry and the shame that they carry. That's what perpetuates this abuse. And so, yeah, I was in Norwood. I went to Prescott, Junior High South, high school, Bridgewater State, Boston University for my master's. So I was a Norwood girl for half of my life, pretty much.
So I lost my question. I had a great one too. So, I know what it was. So when we did our interview way back in 2015, I remember you calling me, and we got a hold of me somehow to tell me that someone from some other part of the country happened to stumble upon our interview, and she sent you a message that because she heard you, then she had the courage to speak up because it was happening to her. Do you remember which part of the country it was, or do you remember that story?
It's what's really sad about your question is that, and I honestly get contacted at least 3 times a month now.
Yeah.
From strangers all over the world who stumble upon my website or my book or something, because it's just a fairly small community, I think, and that have had the identical thing happen to them. It's so common. And so I don't know if I could remember a specific case, because the statistics are that 1 in 10 students will experience some form of sexual misconduct by a school employee by his or her senior year of high school. It's 4.5 million children.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't think people are connecting the dots. So that's why I'm sorry I can't remember that specific
that's okay.
case, but I get contacted that frequently, honestly, at least 3 times a month by someone who's gone through the same thing.
Yeah, but it must be fulfilling. I don't know if that's the right word, but that because of you, this people had the courage to do something. It's got to make you feel great.
It helps guide my journey, I think.
Yeah.
And I always feel like, and this is what I tell people who contact me, I love that I can give someone that little nudge that they need, but everybody has that power inside them already. They really do. Sometimes you just need to watch somebody who's a little bit further in their journey than you are. And I just want to empower everybody to speak their truths, whatever their truths may be, that they have the ability and the strength to do it. If they gather the support they need, I feel like that's my mission in life, is to just make that an easier journey than mine was.
So you're coming home to Norwood soon for an event.
Sorry?
I said you're coming back to Norwood soon. And
yes.
So tell us why.
I'm really excited. It's going to be March 13th. I'm going to be providing a free parent training. It's going to be held, I just learned today that it's going to be held at the high school. We initially were planning it at the Coakley, but it's going to be at the high school to accommodate a larger audience, which I'm glad, because it's going to be a parent training on how to protect your children from predators. And I don't think we could have these trainings enough. I really don't. There's so much great, valuable information and tools that are out there that parents just need to hear. And it's open to the public, and it's going to be for teachers, parents, community members. I'm really excited to come back to Norwood to provide that. It's really a full circle experience for me. And I'm going to be sharing pieces of my own story of abuse, just pieces of it to help kind of illuminate the lessons that I want to share with everybody. Because sometimes you can sit through a PowerPoint presentation or something and you see a bullet point. But if you hear a personal story that kind of paints the picture of what that might have felt like, I think it has a more effective impact. And that's what I hope to do, is just, I've learned a lot of things along the way, both through my own experience and through all the research I've done and the trainings I've taken myself and provided. So I'm just going to hopefully give parents some really practical, easy to use tools on language to use with their children right away that isn't scary, that is just personal safety information. And I'm going to talk about teens and technology and social media And I really want to leave some time for discussion so I can just answer questions
Good.
and learn from the participants as well.
Sure. And how did that come about?
So sorry,
So that's
you're
all right.
breaking up.
How did the appearance in Norwood, how did it get set up?
That got set up because I was coming to Norwood back in November, and I thought, I would love to just do a little mini training. And then my wonderful friend, Jackie Kane Smith, I let her know about that, and she reached out to the principal of her daughter's elementary school, and she loved the idea. And then, but it was like a week's notice, and nobody has time. That's not enough time for most people to pull together, and show up without any notice. So Jackie helped get me in touch with Dr. Frazek at the Coakley, and we had a meeting in November and planned it all out, and it was amazing. We just picked the date in March 13th, and she spoke with the high school principal and superintendent, and I just have to say I'm so proud of Norwood for embracing me to come back, knowing the story of what I went through, but putting the kids first. Yes. And the whole point of this is just to share information so that we do the right thing and protect our children. And I'm really excited to give back to Norwood because everyone has been so encouraging and supportive since I came forward publicly with my story. It's hard for me to express. I'm so full of gratitude. So I'm really excited to just give back. So the fact that Norwood was so receptive to this fills my heart with hope. It really does.
Good. Well, and I think I'm free that day, so I'm hoping to get up there just to say hi.
I hope so. I'd love to see you again.
All right.
It's March 13th, which is a Wednesday. It's either 6:30 or 7. So I think if people can kind of check out social media, you might be able to, the Norwood community media will post some information too of the date. Sure. And Norwood High School alumni page on Facebook. We'll share it. I'd love to see some familiar faces. It's going to be a little bit intense for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Come back in a good way, but it's going to be interesting. So I'd love to see some friendly faces there.
All right. Well, so great to talk to you again, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you, Jack. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Okay. Bye.
And so that's Andrea Vaughan. You don't miss this event. And if you can get a hold of her book, get a hold of her book. I read it, and I was just blown away. I have 2 daughters, and 5 years ago they weren't in their 20s. They were like at the age where, you could see something like this happening. So, very brave woman for speaking out and doing what she's doing, and to come back here, I think, is also a pretty brave act. So, it's March 13th up at the high school. Don't miss it. Andrea Vaughan, author of Invisible Target.